Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, we're trying to see how to deploy our Streamlight apps to Heroku. So let's say you have built your app and you want to deploy for everybody to benefit. There are several platforms that you can use. You can use Heroku, you can also use GCP for Google Cloud Platform, you can also use AWS as well as Azure. So you can use any of these things, but let's try it on Heroku app, right? Heroku.com. So now first of all, you need to create an account. So the first step is to create an account on Heroku. So you just sign up. So go to signup.heroku.com, then you sign up. So just send you an email and then you follow through the steps. Okay. The second step is to install the Heroku CLI. So just go to devcenter.heroku.com to install the CLI. So it has support for Macintosh, for Windows, as well as for Ubuntu. So let's install it on Ubuntu because we are using Ubuntu. I'll just copy this one here, and then I'll go to my terminal, right? Then I'll paste it here. Perfect. That is how to install it. So I've already installed it, so just move straight away to it. So the next step is just go to Heroku. That's the help to see that it is installed. Then it's going to list all the various help for us. Perfect. So that is how this is the version I'm running perfectly. That is the next step. Okay. So the third step you need is that you need a GitHub account, right? Where you're going to put your code, you're going to put your program, and then the app that you have built. So in case you don't have a GitHub account, just go to github.com, then you sign up. But I believe that by now everybody has a GitHub account. Okay, so let's see. So I have a GitHub account here. So I'm just going to go to my GitHub account, then I'll create a repository, right? So this is going to be the repository where I'm going to place in my app, right? So just give it any name that you want. So I can just place any name that I want to. So let's go to, like, say Iris EDA app, right? Something like this. So that is the name I'm going to use. So let's call it as a simple EDA Iris, no, simple Iris EDA app with Streamlight. Perfect, right? So I just, this something very simple. Then I will initialize with a README, which is always recommended to do that so that somebody can benefit from. Perfect. So I've created a simple repository. So this is my repository and there's nothing here, right? This Iris EDA app. So I just click on it, then I'll clone it. So click and then clone it, right? Copy it. So after that, I just go to my terminal, right? My terminal, then I just cd or just git clone. I said cd. it's going to clone that particular repository perfectly. Perfect. So if I can now cd into that repository, which has nothing, only my readme. Perfect. So if I just go with Sublime dots, there is nothing here. So if I open it now, so that there is nothing inside there's only my readme, right, with my file there. So that is the busy stuff that you have. Okay, so the next step is that since you are going to build an app, the best recommended way is just to use virtual env, so pip env or any virtual environment. Then you will install something. So let's say pip env, install whatever thing you want to. So let's say I want to install Streamlight, then Pandas. These are the main thing that I'll be using for this particular app. So I just install it. It will take some time, but let's install it and then we'll see how it's going to be. So it's going to actually create a virtual environment in this particular stuff here, right? This step is useful when you want to work with a virtual environment, but in case you don't want to work with a virtual environment, you can just skip this step, right? But you need a pip freeze file. So whilst it is installing, there are some 3 stuff so that it's creating a virtual environment. Perfect, is creating a virtual environment with Python 3.6. It takes some time to install Streamlight and then Pandas. So whilst it's installing, there are some 3 files that we need. So the first file that we need to deploy our app is a setup file, right? So these are the main files that we need. So the required files. The first file, right, is a setup.sh file, right, which is going to be where we are going to place all the credentials as well as our configurations, right? Perfect. Then the next file that you need is a proc file. Proc, I can't spell proc file, right? It doesn't have any extension, just proc file, just a test file, but the name must be proc file. Then the third one that you need is your requirement. requirements, can't spell requirements.txt file. So these are the three main files that you need to be able to deploy on Heroku, right? So that's why we are creating this virtual environment, so that we will be able to get our requirements.txt file. Perfect. So that's the basic file. So let's move on and create our proc file. Then let's create our SHS file and then our requirement.txt file. So I'm just going to go to the same location. Then I'm going to create it here. So this is my GitHub. I'm just going to create a file called proc file, right? Don't put any extension, just proc file as the first file. Then I need to create another file called my setup.sh, not setup.py, setup.sh, although there's a Python app, but you are using bash, right? Okay, perfect. So that is the basic stuff. So we have these two different files. So we have our proc file, where we're going to place in what the app is supposed to do, right? So the proc file is just like in normal Heroku or maybe Python anywhere. You just have to go with web. I don't know whether you can see it. Let me expand it. So web here, then you're going to put in the particular stuff. So in case you're using maybe Flask or something, you'd have done JUnicorn, right? Then the name of the app. So let's say whatever app it is. Let's say whatever folder, let's say hello, then app, right? That is what, in case you're using Flask. But since you are using Streamlight, you just need web. Perfect. That is the first stuff. That is, we are trying to tell the particular kind of stuff to use to save our app, right? So here we will not be using JUnicorn. This is for Flask, right? This, let's call it as for Flask. This is for Flask, right? What we need is, we need a setup file, .sh, right? File. Then after that, we also need to tell it that after that, run our Streamlight, run, then the name of the app. So the name of our app is going to be, let's say, Iris EDA app.py. So that is the name of the app that we're using. So we are trying to tell it that, try to tell Heroku that Heroku use this particular setup to set up and configure, then after that, run this particular stuff. So that is the basic idea. So this is not in there, this is for Flask. That is the basic stuff, right? Okay, so the code will be below so that I can also check. So let's make sure that we are not making a mistake. So I have all my code snippets here. So I just go to my particular file here. Now I'll copy it. Realize that this is not, see the mistake I made, right? So this here, this is not supposed to be dollar, it's supposed to be and ampersand. If you don't know, you don't take a, you may make a mistake. See the mistake I made, right? This is supposed to be written by bash. Can use sh or bash, any of them, right? But let's use sh. That is a basic idea. So this one goes off. Everything is perfect, right? So that I don't make a mistake. So the code will be below so that you can also check it perfectly. Okay, so perfect. That is going to be on our proc file. Then the next thing we need is on our sh file, that is our setup file. So I'll copy my snip, which is from here. There are two options that you can use. The first one is that you can use with your email, right? With your credentials. So it's going to create a folder, right? A Streamlight. Then it's going to echo or create a file with called credential.com.toml, right? Tom's obvious markup language. Then I'm going to put your email there, right? This is something that you can do or you can omit. Then just going to create another file called config.toml, which is going to have the server info, the headless info, the enable calls, as well as the port info. So this is the basic stuff, right? But in case you don't want to be committing your email, you can just use a simple format, which is this one. So let's use that one. I just copy this stuff here. Then we will place it here, right, in our sh file. This is an sh file, not a .py file, so that you don't make a mistake. So we have this, our proc file, we have our sh file. These are the main stuff. So the next thing we need is that we need to go to still setting it up. The next thing we need is a requirement file. So I'll pause the video, then you continue, right? Perfect, so that's finished. So since that's finished installing, right, you can just run this from our virtual environment. Just go with pip env then you can just activate it by going with shell. So if I go with shell, that's going to activate this particular virtual environment that we are working on. So launching it perfect, so that has activated it, right? So if you look here, we don't have anything. Now we have our 3 files. We have our proc file, we have our readme, and we have sh file, right? But we don't need, we can use pip inside our pip file. If you go back and check here, inside our pip file, yes, a nice feature from Sublime. Inside our pip file, it's going to have all our dependencies, right? So we have our packages, pandas, and then Streamlit. We can also use this particular file, but let's use requirement.txt file, which is quite simple. So to do that, you just have to go to this particular place, right? And then run pip env, then run, then you can just go with pip freeze, then we're going to freeze it to our requirement.txt, right? That is the basic stuff that you'll be using here, right? So it's going to freeze the current environment, every package there, all these packages. Let me arrange it well. All these packages, right? It's going to freeze all these packages and then add it to our requirement.txt file. That's the basic idea about it. So let's go up. So as it's freezing it, let's develop our app, right? So we're developing our app. So the first thing we need in our app is that we need Streamlit. So let's build something very simple that we can use. I'm just going to go to my file and then create a simple app called the name that we used, right? So it can be any name, can be app.py. So that means that if you're using app.py, that means that if you go to our proc file, you must change this one to app.py, right? That's the basic idea. So the same name here. So let's be consistent and then use the same name. So let's call it as Iris EDA app, right? So this must be consistent so that it's consistent with our proc file, which is on our proc file. That's the basic idea, right? Perfect. So let's import our awesome Streamlit as st. Then the next thing we need is, let's create a main function. It's going to be simple EDA app. So let's put as simple EDA app, right? Something like this. IDA. Simple Iris EDA app. That is something very simple, very basic. Now let's close our app with if main to close our app, right? So that's going to run. So let's first of all design our app. It's going to be st.title Iris EDA app with Streamlit. Perfect. Then let's do something small. Say give it a header or a sub header. It can be any sub header. Then it's going to be Streamlit is cool. It's cool, right? Something very simple. Perfect. That is something very basic, right? So this is the app we'll be trying to run. So let's run it and see if that's going to work. So let me position my stuff for. Apologies for how slow I'm becoming today. Then let's open up, go to the same location that we have. So by now, that's freeze everything. So if I go to my if I cut my requirement.txt file, so I'm going to see all the stuff that we need, which is all the various stuff packages that we need for our app to work, right? We have everything here. Perfect. So let's run our app. So in the same location with the virtual environment, I'm going to go with pip env run streamlit run my Iris. The reason I'm using pip env is that we are working in a virtual environment, right? So it's going to open our port, then you can run and see what you have done so far. So it's running, so we're just going to open this particular port that you have. Automatically going to open this port. So let's open this port with Chrome. This is the one we have deployed already, so let's open it with Chrome. Perfect. We don't need this. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this one anymore. Right. So perfect. So we have our app perfectly working. Everything is working as expected. So this was what was on the file, right? Iris EDA app built with Streamlight. Very interesting. So Streamlight is cool. So that's what we have. So let's see how to deploy this particular simple app before we move on to the other stuff. So I'm going to save this one that I have. We have our requirement.txt file. We have our sh file, which are configurations, and then we have our proc file, which is going to show us how it's going to be done. That's the next step. So the next step we need is that we just go to our terminal. So let's stop this. Stop everything. And then let's commit it and put it to GitHub. So git add, going to add everything there. Right, so if I go git status, so we have all of these things. That was a bad commit I made, right? So I need to ignore these files, right? So you just create a git ignore file and then ignore these ones if you want. But let's move on. We just take it out later, right? So these things are not important, but you can just create a git ignore for to ignore it. Then let's move on to git commit m. So I'm just going to create a commit for this particular set I have. So let's say Iris EDA app deployment. That is the basic stuff, right? Now if I go with git status, I have everything there. So I need to push it. So git push. It's going to ask for my password and all of those stuff. So Icarus. Okay, perfect. So it's going to push everything perfectly to GitHub. So if I go back to my repository here and I refresh it, refresh this particular repository, now it's going to show all those files there. So now we have these things are not to be committed. You will deal with that later. So we have our proc file, which consists of what is going to be used to run. We have our requirement.txt file, which is here. Perfect, with all of those things that we need. A lot of things. And then we also have our final file, which is our app itself, right? So this is the app that we have. So that is the basic stuff that we have. Now let's see how to deploy this particular app which was running on this particular port to everybody, so everybody can benefit. So how do we do that? So the first stuff that we need is that in this particular location that you have, just go to Heroku, login, right? So that is the basic stuff. So we can skip from this place, then move to this our location. Not in a virtual environment. We can do it in a virtual environment. All of them is going to work. So Heroku, because here we have the same stuff there, right? So we just omit these ones there. You need to omit these ones, but let's work on it. It's going to be Heroku login. So it's going to automatically log in from this place, right? It's going to open your browser, then you log in. So click any key. So I just click any key, then it's going to open my browser. Authenticating, perfect. It's going to open my browser here. So I just click on this, login, then automatically log in. So I'm logged in on my system. Very simple. Perfect. So now how do we put our stuff there? How do you put our stuff there? So the next step is that we're just going to go with Heroku, then the name of the app. So Heroku create, then the app name. So it's very, very important that you use a name that you're going to use, right? If you don't put any name, it's going to automatically generate a name. So let's use Heroku EDA app, something like this. EDA app. So it's going to create Iris EDA app. So perfect. So this is Iris EDA app.heroku. So this is going to be the URL that you'll be using, right? So in case you want to open, you can just go with Heroku open. Then you can just apply the particular URL that you want, right? So if I go with this, you're going to open this particular URL. So let's open it. You can also open it here, so that if you go back, so let us open it here. So perfect. So this is going to be our default stuff. So there's nothing there. Welcome to your new Heroku. So if I go back to my account, which is my own account here, if I refresh this, you're going to see all the different apps that I have here, including the new one that I have created, which is the Iris EDA. It's taking time. Apologies for how slow my PC is and then my network is. Perfect. So if I go to the personal, you can see all the various apps I have. Right, you can see the first app, which is the initial one. You have my Iris EDA app. Perfect. So that means that it has been deployed, and then you can see it here. Right, Iris EDA app.heroku.com. So the next step is that we need to be able to push it. There's nothing here. From here, see how I'm trying to make things beautiful. From here, there's nothing here, right? We can't see anything, right? There's nothing here. So how do we make it work? So the next thing that we need to be able to push it, right? It's already on GitHub here, but Heroku doesn't know it. It's already in GitHub, so we need to push this particular stuff from GitHub to our Heroku. So how do we do that? So the next step is I'm just going to go with Heroku. Heroku, right? Then you're just going to go with, that's what we used to do, but you just go with git push Heroku origin master, right? That is the basic idea. Master, not origin master, but git push. So you're trying to tell Heroku that, or you're trying to tell Git that Git push this particular stuff to Heroku, right? The master branch of our repository. So it's going to push it, we're going to build it using our requirement.txt file. It's automatically going to detect that it is Python. That is why it's showing it here, because our requirement.txt file shows that all the stuff there are Python. In case you are using Node.js, it's going to show that it's Node.js. There's going to install dependencies. This is something that is wrong, right? I should have not done this, because it's in both the requirement.txt as well as this one. Okay. So it takes some time to deploy everything and publish everything or push everything to our URL. So let me pause it because it's taking time. So I'm going to perfect. So that just finished deploying everything to our URL. So deployed to Heroku, right? So this URL has been deployed to. So if I go back to this place, here it was empty, right? There was nothing here. So I can just click on refresh. The minute I refresh it, voila, I said now our app is working. So that is how to do that. It's very, very simple. So now we have our stuff here, which was written on this, on our Heroku, so that everybody can benefit. So everybody can actually benefit. So I can just copy this one and paste it inside different browser so that you may see that it's actually working. So we are no more with this. This is the old one. Away. So let's use this one now. Perfect. Perfect. It's working very well, right? Very, very interesting. So that is how to deploy your Streamlight apps to Heroku. So in a nutshell, the first thing that you need is that you need to create an account. You need to create an account on Heroku. So after creating an account on Heroku, then you need to create a GitHub account after doing all of them. But the most important thing that you need is that first you need these three files. That SH file setup, which is going to be with this particular credentials as well as your configuration. Perfect. Then the next thing you need is also you need a proc file, very, very important, which you're going to determine how you want your app to be run, right? With the web setup with SH, and then run Streamlight, and then the name of your app. Then the final file that you need is your requirement.txt file. So that is a basic idea about how to deploy your app to Heroku so that everybody can benefit. So let's do some interesting changes. In case I want to do some changes, I can just, let's add something different or paste in our stuff there that we did. Let's make some interesting changes. So it can be df, and just do whatever you want to do, right? In case you want to make any changes. So that is the basic idea about how to deploy your app on Heroku. So thank you for watching this tutorial. So in case you have any question or contribution, you can just put inside the comment section below and check the links below for the whole procedure as well as the different steps of doing it. Thank you and stay blessed.